I think we need to start letting things unfold naturally because, and I do this all the time, and it's not in a sense of like control or anything. It's just, I guess it's just human nature and human instinct within a extent, to an extent. Sorry. Yeah, we don't let things unfold naturally. We try and control everything within our possible means. And I hear it, I get it. Like, you kind of want to do everything to make sure you see the thing through, but sometimes there are things that we can't. Like, we generally can't do that. We have to let the natural unfolding happen. And me myself, as always, I've always acted and said like, I will do everything within my power to make sure I obtain the thing or have the thing or whatever. Mainly within relationships. And again, I'm not saying I do it in a way where it's controlling in the sense of I get the final say, you say nothing, and da da da. No, 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 no. But it's just in the sense of like, okay, cool. If I tell you how I feel about you, I need to make sure I'm doing everything within my power to reflect that. Because as I say, like action for me, actions don't speak louder than words. Words give cause for action. So if I tell you I care about you, I now need to act that way. Because if had I not said that I care about you this way, you wouldn't expect me to act this way. So yeah, it's one of those things. And then sometimes, like when stuff starts to go wrong, I try to do too much, or I do too much. I know I do too much, but 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 it's never from a place of pressure or control in a narcissistic way or a vindictive way. It's just I generally don't want to lose you, and I don't want to lose what we have. And it's that kind of thing where loving them more won't make them stay, and it won't. But it's not that. It's just to an extent. I want to make sure I put every I want to make sure I put everything I have within me. I want to make sure I've made every possible move for you to see how I feel about you, so you don't leave thinking he could have done more, or he should have done more. And I don't sit there thinking the same thing. But at times, like, you just kind of need to let stuff unfold naturally. And if things start to go wrong, I'm not saying let them go wrong, but if you've done a lot and things are still going wrong, just whatever life needs to do, let it do it. Because again, and like I've said before, like you don't know if this person's gonna come back. You don't know if this relationship's gonna thrive from this short period apart. Because some people say, like, had they not had a certain amount of time apart, their relationship wouldn't be where it is now because they came back together, they learned things, they understood things, and now they've gone from here to here. And they've just sat and they've just continued to go up. But this here is the basic level of where the relationship starts, essentially. Do you get what I mean? When it's definitely we need to try and let things unfold more and just be. I'm not saying don't do anything because then you become a boring partner and then you become a uncaring partner and it looks like you don't care, you're not bothered, you just da, 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 you know what I mean? But you've kind of got to gauge and learn the situation. When's it best for me to act? And if I do act, what is it that I need to do? Yeah, man, like for me, that's a big one. That's a big one. That's a big lesson that I need to learn because, as I say, I always try and do the most, and I don't think there's anything wrong in trying to do the most. But sometimes, you can never force a river to go the way you want it to go. Eventually, it's always gonna find its way back to where it needs to be. Like even if you throw a rock in like a stream, yes, you've created a blockage, but the water kind of splits around the rock and then comes back to where it needs to be. And that's just the natural unfolding of life. Life will do that. You can try and rip it apart. You can try and build on top of it, whatever. Like you can try and do whatever it is that you need to do, but sometimes life is just going to happen. And sometimes by you forcing certain things, you delay or you prolong what needs to happen. So, as I say, like me, I'm I'm always trying to give my all and do my all, and trying to keep the person um in the relationship and keep them with me. But what if by me doing that, I'm delaying the relationship that I want, or I'm delaying the marriage that I want, or I'm delaying the progression that I want for us to have, or what we want for us to have? I know it sounds very me at the minute, but obviously we only act from our own perspective at certain points. But yeah, sometimes me acting that way could potentially be the prolonging of me having this thing, or even making it worse by me trying to control everything and not letting it unfold. I'm now destroying the thing that I'm trying to hold on to. Whereas if I just kind of chill, let it unravel, let it be what it needs to be, I get what I want, or we get what we want. We get the relationship that we want. We get the love that we want. There's a massive fear of kind of losing a person, or a person leaving, um, leaving when we want them to stay. Obviously, we all have that. There's always one in a relationship. Like, it's rare that you'll both come to a mutual thing, but there's always one that kind of wants it to work out and the other one doesn't. Um, and being the one that kind of doesn't want it to end, this is when these things start to happen, and you try and force it more. And as I say, like, loving them more loving them more will not make them stay, but you know, you try. But sometimes you just gotta let life happen. And as I said before, you go away, you live your separate journey, then you come back, and then you thrive. But that fear of them being away from me, them potentially meeting somebody else, you know, the I don't know if anybody else gets this, but you kind of, okay, cool, you're single, I'm single. We've not spoke to each other for 4 months. I'm gonna move on. I then move on and start talking to this person, and like that starts to progress, and then you come back, and now I'm left in it. Like, those are these are thoughts that I've had, and like, those thoughts have kind of stopped me from pursuing anything before. But again, life is life, and that's a different. I'll talk on that another day. But even still, like, that is the natural unfolding of life. All these different scenarios, this fear embeds within us, and realistically, one of those thoughts are going to be the natural unfolding of life. It's either they come back, you move on, and you just both happen to come back together, or you move on, you never come back together, or you move on and one decides to come back when the other one's just about to move. Like, there's only really four outcomes, but the scariest one is the one where they never come back, especially if you are heavily engrossed with them. Heavily engrossed in love with them. But yeah, that fear can kind of lead us to doing certain things that we shouldn't do. As I say, in trying to force life to happen, trying to take control of the whole situation, because essentially, even though you can have two hands on that situation, there's still another person involved. Like, and they have their own thoughts, they have their own mind, they have their own goals, dreams, like, they have their own everything, the same as what you have. So even if you feel you've got both hands on this thing and you've got all the control in the world, like, you've not, because essentially, if that person wants to leave, they'll leave, and that's what's scary. That's what's scary. And this is where that, what's it called, fear kind of takes over us, and it forces us to go above and beyond and do certain things that we wouldn't usually do. Whereas if we just kind of try and fight fear, and we just let life happen and unfold, we may get this person back, and we may just get a better version of them, and we may get a better version of us, and we may get a better version of love. Because essentially, that's what it comes down to. The reason that you fear them leaving is because you love them so much, and it all falls down to love. That love, that fear, it's a scary thing, but we do need to kind of let the natural unfolding of things happen. It's inevitable. We need to let the natural unfolding of things happen, and we just kind of need to take time with that and be patient with that. And I told you, like I've struggled with that. I do struggle with that, but in terms of having a healthy relationship, a strong relationship, a beneficial relationship, a peaceful relationship, I need to become friends with patience, and I need to fight fear. And if you're like me, then you need to do the same thing. And there's nothing wrong with that. If your heart is very, very open and it's, you know, easily attached, then we need to do this more than anything. Me and you, because realistically, as I say, we've not even thought of the possibility of that if we're trying to force the situation to happen, we could be making the situation worse for ourselves. So really and truly, we just need to let life unfold. Instead of trying to force our cocoon open when it's not ready, we need to sit and just sit in it some more, taking them nutrients, taking them those things that are going to make our colors, the colors of our wings more vibrant and make the muscles of our wings more stronger so that we can have a beautiful, beautiful relationship that flourishes. But then even if you sit and do that and that person don't come back, no matter how much you wanted to be with them, how much you loved them, how much you wanted to text them and whatever, you still didn't lose because you learn a key thing of patience, and you learn trust in God, in life, in yourself. Like you shown yourself that you can go through a mad thing, like a mad process, but still, you know, stand up, stand up. Do you know what I mean? Like it's a scary thought, but we unfortunately we can't control everything. We can't, and life's gonna happen regardless. Life is going to happen regardless. We just need to know when it's time to let the sails carry the boat, and then we need to know when it's time for us to grab the helm and do what it is that we need to do. And if you have God, God will never lead you astray, and God will never steer you in the wrong direction. Even the winds of the sail, they're God's winds, and they will guide you to land one day. They will take you out of the storm, and they'll put you on a land that you will flourish in more than anything else. And I know that's hard, and I know it's hard to kind of sit back and just let life happen, especially when, like, I'll tell you straight up, I want to message you every day. If I've not spoke to you for a week, I want to message you, yo, yo. Do you know what I mean? So you don't forget me. If I'm trying to give you space, that's that. You know what I mean? Whatever the situation is, I'll try and do what it is that I need to do because I don't want you to forget me, and I only generally do that if I generally care. But sometimes we just kind of need to let life happen, and there's nothing wrong with letting life happen. I know it's scary, and I stand with you by that. But what me and you are gonna do, we're gonna fight this fear, and we're gonna stand up tall, and we're gonna learn what it is that we need to learn. As I say, we're gonna sit in our cocoon until it's time for us to emerge the way that we need to, the way that we should. Because you never know, like, as I say, you sitting in that cocoon a little longer, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 months, a year, when you flourish and you come out and then wings are looking beautiful and you're just fluttering around. Like, I love butterflies. That's why I make this. That's why I make these references. But yeah, when you're doing that, again, that person may need time away from you to understand what value is. They may need time away from you to understand what their value is, and to know that, like, yo, like, none of you are giving me the feeling that he gave me or what she gave me. And again, it's not like oh, there's nothing better out there, so I'll come back to you. Like, no, sometimes it's just the way life goes. Just don't let that negative propaganda essentially like put a downer on your shit. Do you get me? Like, if you want to be with that person, and you've had a 6 months apart, a year apart, and you still want to be with them, you still feel for them, and they've come back, then cool, let it happen. But do it in a respectful way, because again, that's a natural unfolding of life. If you still feel the way that you feel about them, and it could be it could be a test. There you go. It could be a test. Again, like, you don't know what this natural unfolding of life is, and sometimes you really do just need to let it ride and let it be and let it come and let it. You know what I mean? But we cool. We got this. Like, we're just gonna take our time. We're gonna learn step by step, day by day, moment by moment. That's what we're gonna do. Yeah, man. We just gotta let life unfold. We just gotta let life unfold.